Expedition 33, a key role that showcased her leadership and technical expertise. Among her many remarkable achievements, Sunita Williams became the first woman to participate in a flight test of an orbital spacecraft as part of NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Her journey aboard the ISS is further distinguished by an extended stay of over 9 months due to technical issues aboard the station. It's my privilege to welcome Sunita Williams to begin the session. All right, and sorry, go ahead. And we have Preeti Choudhary. Preeti Choudhary is the managing editor at Indian Today TV and one of the most recognizable faces in Indian political journalism. With over 18 years of experience, she anchors the prime-time weekday debate, short to the point, and hosts a weekly podcast on politics. It's my privilege to welcome Preeti Choudhary as well.
Thank you. Thank you, and sorry for interrupting you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, first up, put your hands together for the guest of honor at the Kerala Literature Festival, Captain Sunita Williams. Do better, right at the back.
I am very humbly surprised by the number of people, like I was mentioning. This is a lot different from being in space. And it's so nice to know that all of you are here looking down from space. What a great welcome. I'm so appreciative. I'm so humbled. Thank you so much.
You know, while we were up there floating, a lot of us Indians would look up at you. You know, how many of you, okay, show of hands, had a watch party for Captain Sunita Williams when she touched down and splashed down on Spacex Dragon? How many of you, show of hands, had a watch party? How many of you heaved a collective sigh of relief when you saw those dolphins swirling around that spacecraft? How many of you? It is truly amazing. You know, this is, for me, this is surreal, Captain Williams, because
It would be all in one place, but I realized the greeting would be this big, and I so appreciated it, and I just feel at home here, and I can't thank you enough for being my family.
no, you know, we were praying, there were havans that were going on, there were astrological calculations, all of that was going on. So there was a lot of love, you know, that was pouring out and hoping that you'd make it back safely. But I want to come back, Ms. Williams, 27 years. There's a bit of serendipity to this moment that you're here in India and that your retirement is announced. And I want to read this out. 27 years, that includes 3 missions to the International Space Station, 600 days in space, 9 spacewalks, over 62 hours in open space, the most by any woman in history, the first human to run a marathon. I can go on. You have etched yourselves in the annals of human space history. You're a legend for us back home in India, and you know, you've etched that legacy in space, Captain Williams, but the impact of it is being felt here, where with so many young lives, young boys, girls, to make them believe that even sky is not the limit. The weight of that, do you feel it? Do you know that back home in India?
Again, it's so humbling. It's hard to actually even really imagine, but it is very poetic that I am here when I'm retiring, because I could pass that message along. I think the greatest compliment for somebody doing a job is for their mentee to take over and do that job better, or to inspire the next generation to do that job better and in a different way, and open young people's eyes to the possibilities and the opportunities that are there that have grown over the last 27 years during my career. So I hope to share that with the children tomorrow. I think I have 2 sessions to talk to kids about the possibilities that are out there, and I'm really excited about that. So I appreciate this opportunity. I think it's very fortuitous, auspicious that I'm here when my retirement's announced.
You do know, you know, that
we had some thruster failures. We have over 20 thrusters. We lost 5 of them as we were coming up to dock to the space station. We worked hand in hand with Mission Control to get them back on again. During that time frame though, what is going through your head? The first thruster, we practiced this. We practiced malfunctions, emergencies all the time. It took us about 8 years to get the spacecraft ready to go. So there was a lot of practice thinking, imagining what could go wrong, what typically goes wrong on these mechanical pieces and parts. We didn't anticipate that we would have a systemic issue that we had, and that obviously was not in our training space. So we needed to think on our feet. We needed to act with our mission control, the experts on the ground, to try and do as much as we can to get our spacecraft back to operating as normally as we could. That was a lot of work. In that work, though, I reflected back about how much training we did, how whenever we were talking to somebody on the ground that had a specialty, if they were navigation, if they were communications, if they were propulsion, I know those people. I could see their faces as we were having the conversation in my head. These are my friends. They're dedicated for many, many years to try and understand the spacecraft. There's a lot of trust with each other. So the act of fear really never entered my head. What entered my head was the trust that I had with the people on the ground, the trust that I had with my friend and colleague, Butch Wilmore, who is sitting right next to me, the trust he had in me and how we were going to solve this problem. Sometimes problems are really big, and we had a big problem, and you can only solve big problems one little bite at a time, one step at a time, and focus on that one step that you're trying to solve so you don't get totally distracted. So we started one thruster at a time, essentially a control-alt-delete for each thruster, with the ground helping out, looking at the software that maybe was causing some of the problems as well. And we got most of our thrusters back, and we were able to control the spacecraft and dock to the space station. Of course, things could have gone a different way, but again, one problem at a time, and we would have looked that next challenge in the face if we were not able to get our thrusters back.
You know, I don't know how many.
In a bathtub. The other day, I was in some hotel that had a really big bathtub, and I was like, I'm going to take a bath. And I just started filling the water up, and my legs started to float. And I was chuckling to myself. I'm like, I wasn't holding them down on the bottom. My legs were just starting to lift up and float. I'm like, this is exactly what it's like in space. Like, you don't really have control of it. It just happens. Everything starts to float. And it's actually really fun, except for you lose things. Like, it's so nice to have this tissue on a flat place, or the water on a flat thing, because in space you have to have Velcro or some way to tie it down, or it's going all over the place. So you're floating, but everything else is floating too.
You know, when we were speaking about your hair, I remember you had President Trump who said, that lady with the crazy hair. It's quite interesting. But I want to come down to something, because you speak of, okay, I'm going to go for questions in the last 10 minutes, but I'm going to ask you this. She's always spoken about teamwork, you know, doing it together. And what made personally me tear up yesterday was to hear the mother of Kalpana Chawla, and she was your friend. And where she said, and she said it in chaste Punjabi, you know, and she said, "वो तो 3 महीने रह के गई थी हमारे साथ." That you stayed for 3 months after Kalpana Chawla had tragically passed away in the Columbia Space Shuttle in 2003. Was it because you were friends, or was it that you had to do for a teammate because the heartbreak of the family was just too intense?
I think all of that all together. You know, Kalpana was a good friend of mine. You know, as soon as when you have something in common with somebody, all of a sudden you like gravitate to them. She was selected to be an astronaut a couple years before me. So when I came to Johnson Space Center and she was there, I was like looking for her, like, hi, I'm Indian too. And it's just one of those things that if you ever go away to another country, I think you automatically notice somebody who has some characteristics that's the same as you, and you automatically want to just be friends. And what a joy for me. She is an amazing individual. My family is very go. And so we started hiking together and biking together, and she always made me stop and slow down periodically to look at the birds, to look at the trees, the plants, whatever. She always was able to like bring me back to what was really important and not just the workout. We flew together in a small airplane across the country essentially, and she was amazing. She was I said, are we just going from A to B? She goes, oh, no, we're going to follow this river to this river, and then we're going to follow this patch of trees over to this coastline over here. And I was like, don't we want to get home? She goes, but don't you want to see the world? And I said, yeah, that's awesome. Let's do it.